What's up guys, Chuck Palmer here. If you happen to have a Honda Civic 2006 to 2011 and still have this original radio, you might want to upgrade it to this 10.1 Android radio with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. With this upgrade, you will be able to enjoy rear camera live view and do almost anything an Android tablet can do. I will show you the unboxing, installation and setup in great detail, so this video will be a bit long. The process involves removing this panel, removing two screws holding the stock radio in place, unplugging the wire connectors and removing the radio, transfer the air vent, climate control, hazard switch and some clips to the new radio, install the new wire adapters that come with the new radio, install the microphone, GPS and rear camera wires, fit the radio panel and this panel back in place, and finally installing the rear camera. I know it's a lot of steps, but you can get it done easily if you follow these steps, and I will show you in detail. The hardest part of this job is to install the rear camera, but I will take you through it. From the box is the radio itself. You can see that the USB and CarLink cables are already installed. I love how the screen looks already. I appreciate that this comes with a screen protector. This is a wire adapter. There are two that come with this, but only one will work for my 2007 Honda Civic. Here is the other adapter. You can look at the stock radio to see if it fits, but I will show you on the car itself. This adapter won't be used for this vehicle. These are all the auxiliary and mic cables. This is for the rear camera. This is the GPS antenna. This is the microphone. Over here is the rear camera and the accessories. I will show you the options to install this camera close to the end of the video. Tools needed will be this 10mm wrench or socket, Phillips screwdriver, plastic pry tool and a clip removal tool. You will also need electrical tape or heat shrink. It is optional to have a soldering kit for this job. Let's start removing the old radio, but for safety, disconnect the negative battery from the battery terminal with a 10mm wrench. Now let's get back into the car. Use your hand or plastic pry tool to pop this cover off. Now use the Phillips screwdriver to remove this screw. Now I can remove this part of the dash. This helps to hold the radio panel in place, and this needs to be out of the way to hide the microphone wires as well. There is an electrical connector here to be removed. There should be two screws under here holding the radio in place. To access them, this cover will need to be removed. Use the pry tool to remove this cover. There's only one screw here at the moment. Not sure what happened to the other one. Remove this screw. Now the radio can be removed. Use your plastic pry tool. Now I will need to disconnect this plug. Start with the climate control plug. Next, the hazard switch plug. This seatbelt off light won't be reused. There is nowhere to install this on the new radio. I'm not sure why. Now I need to remove these three plugs to the radio. The radio is out. Let's now go transfer some parts from this old radio to the new radio. I'll start with this climate control by removing 4 screws. Now I need to remove these knobs. Use the plastic pry tool. The climate control is out. This won't be reused. Remove these screws holding the air vent here. Remove these 2 screws for the hazard switch. Remove these 2 screws for the seatbelt off light. You will not need to remove this if you don't plan on using this. Remove all these clips. They go here. Remove these metal clips. These can be released here. Now I will install the hazard switch with 2 screws on the new radio. Install the air vent with 3 screws. Install these clips. Now I will install these metal clips. Push this part down a bit so it can lock in place. Now I can install the climate control with 4 screws. These knobs are identical and can only be installed one way, so you can't mess this up. There are 3 grooves. Line them up and snap them in place. This should go here. Maybe not all Honda Civic models have seatbelt off lights. Install the main power plug adapter. This is the wrong adapter at the moment. I will change it later. Connect the radio antenna. Install the GPS antenna. Install the auxiliary plugs here. Install the camera wires here. That's it. Let's go install the radio in the car. We're back in the car. Let's install the rear camera here. I will run it through the glove compartment. I will press in the side of the glove compartment to release it. You can run the wire through here. To connect the camera wire, strip this 12-volt yellow wire for the camera about 1 inch and connect it to the blue wire here, which is a constant 12-volt whether or not the car is on. You may solder these wires if you wish, but the way I do it is good enough and it doesn't require any soldering. Ensure that both wires are stripped to about 1 inch. Twist them together about 4 times, then wrap them around the wires in opposite direction like this. You can see that this is well secured. This will never come apart or shorts out. For this red reverse wire, strip it and connect it to the wire that says back. Use electrical tape to properly cover these exposed wires. At this point, it's time to connect the plugs. It is at this point I realized that I have the wrong wire adapter installed. This is the correct one. I will plug it in and connect the FM/AM antenna. This adapter is a perfect fit. I haven't taped this wire as yet because I want to confirm that it has a constant 12-volt whether or not the car is on. That light shows that this wire has a constant 12-volt. Now I can tape the exposed wire. I will now run this microphone wire. It will be installed on the glass here. I will run the wire here and down here. I will hide this wire here under the panel, then run it above the meter here. Now I will connect the 2 main power plugs. Connect this here. Now I will plug in the car camera here. Plug it in this yellow connector that says camera in. This is for the microphone. Run these 2 USB cables through the opening here so that they can be accessed in the car. Remember, these 2 plugs won't be used. I will find a place to stick this GPS antenna later. Now I will connect the climate control plug. This is for the hazard switch. Now I will do a quick test before putting everything back in place. It's working fine so far. The FM radio is good. The touchscreen and the side touch are working as well. It's time to do the hardest part of this job, which is to run the rear camera wires. When the car is placed in reverse, the rear camera will turn on with guidelines. These lines should be adjusted, and this is my best adjustment so far. I'm still working on it. This rear camera allows you to have live view to the rear of your vehicle while driving. This will definitely improve your drive safety. This is a view here in the day, and this is at night. Let's start the installation. Remove these two panels. They are held in place by clips. I have already removed these. Push this weather strip to the side and run the wire through here. I can now close this glove box, then reinstall this panel cover. Put this rubber strip back in place. Now I can reinstall this panel cover. I will continue to run the wires to the rear of the vehicle. Tuck the wires under here. I need to remove this panel. Now, the easy way to install this camera is to install it inside the car on the rear glass. I will be installing this camera on the outside of this vehicle. I will drop the seat, then remove this clip and run the wires through the back here. I will run it here and feed it under the seat and place it here. Now I will remove this clip and run the wire back here. Now I will reinstall this panel cover. At the back, the wires are covered by this cover. I will remove some clips here to access the rear camera wires. I found that this technique of screwdriver and pry tool works well. The wire will run along here and through the rear brake light, then install at the outside. I will have to also remove this cover. One clip is holding it here and another under here. So I have already removed some clips holding this cover in place. I will now remove this brake light to run the camera wires here. Use a 8mm wrench or socket to remove 4 nuts here. There is a clip that should be holding this brake light in place. Mine is broken, so I don't need to release it. You might need to release yours if it's not broken, otherwise you will break yours as well. I can now remove the brake light. The clip is broken here. Now I need to loosen this panel here to run the new camera wires. Remove a 10mm nut holding the trunk lock in place here. Now, this is the tricky part. There are 4 of these clips holding this in place. The camera stopped recording when I was removing 2 of the clips to have this panel loose. I took my time to squeeze both sides of the clips to release them. I got these loosened, then ran the wires under here and out here. Now I can run the camera wires here through the brake light opening. I will be using this bracket to secure the camera instead of this one that should be installed on the license plate. The one for the license plate is easier to install though. I will use 2 screws that came with this to install the camera on this bracket. I will install this right here and I will make pilot holes for the screws. The camera is secured. Now I can tighten the screws at the side so the camera doesn't shift. I will place electrical tape to prevent the wires from being pinched. I don't expect that to happen though. Now I can reinstall the brake light and secure with the 4 nuts. I will run the camera wires on the here. Now I can plug in the camera here and the power here. What is left to do now is to connect the red wire to the positive lead of the reverse bulb, then this black wire to a good ground. Now, based on the design of this car, I need wires to extend the reverse trigger wire to the reverse 12-volt positive wire. I don't need all this wire, so I will use it to extend the reverse trigger wire. I will cut this and reconnect this red camera wire using the same method I used earlier. I will tape this very well. I will now connect the red camera power wire to the yellow wire here. These came already connected and I cut them earlier. I will protect the open wire with electrical tape. Now this black wire should be connected to a ground wire and I will be using the brake ground wire here. I will unplug this connector. Ensure that there is enough wire exposed. Insert in the opening where the black wire is. Now carefully plug it in. That's a quick and secure connection. I will use some tie straps here and tape the connection to protect them from moisture. I can now reinstall the clips for this cover. Now it's time to run the reverse trigger wire. I will need to extend this using both the black and red sides of the wires. I'll now tape this. I will use the same method as I used earlier. Ensure that it is the positive wire, which is the brown wire. I will hold this wire in place with tie straps. Now I can secure the wires here. I will now reinstall this cover with the 2 clips, one here and the other under here. Reinstall the clips for this cover. That was a lot of work to install this rear camera. That was the hardest part of this job. Let's get back to the head unit. Now I'll just push this panel in place. The clips will do its job. Now I can reinstall this panel cover. Tighten this screw and snap this cover back in place. I will now install the mic right here. I'll ensure that the glass is clean of dirt or grease. This job is almost done. It's time to set up the steering control buttons and go through some settings. The first thing I recommend to do is to go to Settings, Double LAN, and connect to your home Wi-Fi. Log into your Google account and update all apps. Next is to connect your phone via Bluetooth. The default password is 0000. From here you can make calls, and whatever media you are playing on your phone will be heard through the radio. I will now make a call.
How are you doing?
It's working. On the home screen is a quick link to the default navigation app. For me, it's Google Maps. Here is Play Store, and this is to access all the apps. If you slide over to the right, you will see some more apps. For Apple CarPlay, simply plug in a quality USB and that's it. It's plug and play. This link can also work for Android Auto. This connects your phone to make calls, show call history, and compatible apps on your phone. Think of this as an Android tablet in your car. You can choose your desired setting, but I will show you a few recommended settings. Go to the general setting and select steering wheel setting. You have 5 buttons on your steering wheel to assign any of these options. First, press and hold a button on the steering wheel, then assign a function here by selecting it. I will set the volume up and down, forward track and back track, and finally this power button for mute or off. You can adjust the display settings. For device settings, I like the keytone off and loud on. I realize that the camera doesn't work without the amp on, so I keep this on. I will play with the equalizer later. For a general setting, I keep press any key to start on. I leave these two off. OSD time on. You can reverse the camera image if the left side is showing on the right. You can also mute when reversing for safety, or you can turn it off and choose to turn down the volume by setting the level here. Turn backlight control on so these buttons will light up and these will be good at night. I will leave GPS on and you can change the backlight control here to different colors. You can also access the steering wheel control here, and I already adjusted these settings. Set date and time or leave it to automatically adjust to your zone. I like to use 12-hour time setting. You can download a offline GPS map here, but I don't have one yet. You can also reset to factory settings. And that's it really for this 10.1 touchscreen Android radio for Honda Civic 2006 to 2011. Just play around with the apps, and if you are interested in this radio, there will be a link in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one, guys. But before you go, please like and subscribe to my channel. See you on the next one, guys.